Dude, this is all these texts, dude. The numbers, Mason, what do they mean? All of these texts are fucking up my theory, though. Look, definitely, especially because Katie does really care for those guys over there because they're super close to her. The UK gang over there despised me. Yes, the Schizo Theory is there's proof, more proof now. A recognition, the UK gang don't like me. Oh my God, come on, dude, it's all coming together. Do you see it too? So ridiculous. When, you know, what should happen, what absolute worst is the guy is just told to chill out a bit and, you know, not be so forward or something. You know, as a creator, you got to value career and not go too insane on it and just not pursue women necessarily in this domain in the same sort of way, just, you know, purely if only for the risk of your career. That was what needed to happen at absolute worst, okay? But this guy, on the basis that he and this woman were drunk at a party and they were cuddling and he tried to move things forward by like touching her, that apparently is now sexual assault to the point where someone's entire career needs to be totally eviscerated. You know, there was one thing I think where people were trying to at some event he was going to or something. I can't remember exactly, so take that with a pinch of salt. But then there's stuff like this, where he's getting removed from the marketing materials from Feastables. And I think people didn't quite understand, but the whole point of this bit is that as you click through, more people get added, right? And people didn't get it, but this is what it was. So swipe for a surprise, and the point is, you swipe through, and a person gets added, and a person gets added, and a person gets added. So this is now the last photo, but previously there was another photo that had GeorgeNotFound in it, but they removed him. I mean, what is that? If not like, I mean, this is literal fucking Stalin tier shit. Yeah, the KGB, well, it wasn't the KGB at the time, the NKVD Stalin fucking treatment, you know? Removing the guy from a poster because of this allegation for tummy tickling. Now look, I know the tummy tickling meme is caught on, okay? Obviously it wasn't tummy tickling. That's like a reductive way of looking at it. It was, to me, an effort to try and move things forward and progress it. But like, the reason people call it a tummy tickle is because of how absurd it is to think that when you're cuddling someone, you are going to need to like ask for like hard consent for that action. When if you're making a move to progress things forward, there is a sort of unspoken consent that can exist, and the other person is within their rights to resist that and say no as well, right? So obviously this woman could have said no, could have gotten up, and in fact did get up.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Apparently misrepresented things in their statement that George said in his video.
$5 from Sakino. Oh, George gave up on himself. Whatever he gets, he gets.
Thank you for the $5. Well, the thing is, he touched under her clothes, but he wasn't touching immediately, from what I understand, in a sexual area of her body. I think it was just, from the sounds of it, from all sides, it sounds like it was a touch to try to maybe progress things forward. It's a bit of a chancer move, you know? Like, oh, let's see if we can move things forward here, you know? And I think the reason the story has caught on like it has is just because of how ridiculous it is. That this guy is getting hauled over the coals for such a minimal act, and it's getting referred to in such extreme terms. And then on top of that as well, the way that the woman described it on her stream, she was in tears talking about it. When you hear the full extent of it from all sides, it's like, why is this bringing you to tears? This is insane. And I've got my schizo theories about this, but I think that this is all to do with the kind of warring factions of the Minecraft creatorverse. You've got the Brighton lot, right? Who are people like Tubbo, that guy that was freaking out and voice cracked, whatever his name is, Amesy, Tommy in it, etc. You know, you got those people, and I think that they are consciously or not kind of weaponizing these allegations to take jabs at the Dream Team, the Dream SMP creators. And I think a lot of it comes down to these kind of intra-community wars, and people are kind of making moves and denouncing people off the back of this dynamic in order to benefit themselves and to like attack the other side. That's my schizo theory on this, okay? And I would argue that it is at least somewhat validated by the fact that this person here, Bo Couples, came forward with an allegation which is, you know, stupid. These people were both 17 years old, and it sounds like they had a kind of bit of an awkward kissing thing.
Okay, that's wonderful.
And then she led him on, and it didn't go anywhere, right?
People.
$4.99 from Mr. Frex. He felt her up, but her tummy was the targeted area of direct contact according to war correspondents on the battlefield.
Thank you for the $4.99. So this allegation was against someone called Snickrep. Snickrep is someone who's associated with the Brighton Bastards. That's that Brighton group that I just mentioned, right? But when this allegation came out, none of the creators that have been, bear in mind, all over the Wilbur Soot allegations, all over the GeorgeNotFound allegations, had nothing to say about this whatsoever. Now, again, this allegation is stupid. It doesn't need to be public. It's just two 17-year-olds not knowing what the fuck they're doing. It's nothing crazy, nothing bad, just something that happens when you're young, that there's an awkward moment or whatever, right? But by the logic that they've used and the way that this person has described it, these people should be all over this allegation and should be giving it the same attention that they gave to the GeorgeNotFound stuff. But they haven't. Why? Because it's someone that they're friends with that's being accused, in my belief, right? This person called Snickrep is like an associate and I think edits for one of the Brighton Bastards. So it seems pretty obvious to me that, yes, this is not just about allegations and uplifting people. It's kind of snake-like behavior to attack the other side, so to speak. And then when someone is accused on your side, you just don't say anything and just ignore it, right? And I'm pretty sure on the same day this is dropped, although I think it was before this dropped, Amesy said on their stream, oh, I'm not getting involved anymore. I'm kind of worn out from this. Twitter is a very toxic place. After spending a week fucking endlessly bolstering and talking about people that were making allegations, all of a sudden they didn't want to talk about it anymore. And then this happens to drop. Could it all be a complete schizo, corkboard, red string conspiracy? Sure, perhaps. But I'm pretty confident that my kind of view on this is more or less there, and I think there are definitely power plays and sort of Game of Thrones or Rape of Thrones type memes happening, where they're attacking the other side and not talking about their own. They're making statements about things purely in order to kind of bolster their own image and to make it look like they're the most against rape more than anyone else. Yeah, it's like weaponizing these essay allegations to their benefit, essentially, right? I'm not going to go over this now because I've already done it before. Take my word for it. It's not worth being public. But it's not about what I think. It's about what these people think. They are the rape avengers. Okay, supposedly. They come forward when there's an allegation of rape and they prop up the victim and they talk about how important it is to believe victims and they go after the person that's accused quite heavily. But in this case, none of that. Nothing. Nothing was fucking mentioned. Why? Why not? By your logic, you should be talking about this too. But you didn't. Because it's about one of your fucking friends, obviously. Anyway. That's that. So, with that being said, George has issued a further response.
For those of you who don't know, Caitibugz recently did a stream and accused me of...
So just to clarify with this, George did an initial response to Katie's allegations, which was just a tweet to say, I'm going to respond to this, more or less. He then did a short stream followed by just a video that he played, which, you know, pretty strongly pushed back on some of the claims that were made and painted a different picture. And I think, as with anything, you've got two sides of a story. The truth is always somewhere in the middle, okay? That tends to be the way it works. So whilst I still think that there's like lessons to be learned about being a bit cautious and not kind of pushing things forward too quickly at a drunken party and just taking a step back, the idea the idea that he's sexually assaulted or raped or something like that is utterly insane and absurd, and it's got no merit, it's got no weight, and this guy does not deserve to get destroyed for what he did. That's fucking crazy, right? And really, none of this should have been made public. There was no need to make this public. This could have been dealt with a conversation behind the scenes with a mediator if you wanted to, and it all could have been quashed and dealt with, right? And I think that Katie has had fucking poison poured in her ear by people, and she's been made to believe that this thing is way worse than it is. And I think that's been used and weaponized by the Brighton bastards because they want to kind of attack the dream camp. That's my schizo view on this. But at the very least, it was overstated, it was excessively presented, and it was kind of obscene how this was treated, really. You know, this guy getting totally destroyed, right? Pushing too quick. Okay. Why would you argue with me about the little details like that? Okay. Right. If you meet someone at a party and get drunk and start trying to fuck them straight away, okay, and you're a creator, you probably shouldn't do that because shit like this happens. Is that fucking that crazy to say? Is that really that fucking crazy to say? Why would you try and argue with the minutiae of the fucking details of this, right? When the most important point that I'm making is regardless of what happened, okay, this guy did not deserve to get cancelled. This guy did not deserve to get fucking cancelled, right? And on top of that as well, I'm correct and I'm right because if he hadn't have fucking tried to hook up with her, none of this would be fucking happening, you total moron. So I'm correct about that in that, if you're a big creator and you're at a party, right? Don't try and fucking push things forward too hard with someone that you've just met, because otherwise you get cancelled like this, moron. I'm correct about that. 100% I'm correct about that, okay? If he hadn't tried to do anything, this wouldn't have happened. Does it mean it's right that that's the case? No, because you shouldn't be getting cancelled. But if you value your career, particularly in the Minecraft space, do not go to parties and get drunk and try and fucking rizz up women to the point of trying to fuck them on that night. Get their number and chill out a little bit. That's good advice that he should listen to, okay? And I have said repeatedly about the woman what her fucking issues are, and the fact that she didn't get up, and the fact that she didn't leave when she had ample opportunity to. So it's not like I've got no advice for her, obviously, and also she's been very dishonest about the situation. But I fucking say one thing to the guy, yeah, if you value your career, don't do stuff like this and don't push things, okay? Try and throw this message kiss her. Okay, you're getting banned. Retarded. You really think that someone who is putting their fucking hands under someone's clothes is not trying to push things forward in a certain direction? What do you think the purpose of that is? Why do you want to touch someone's skin? Why? You're a rapist in waiting. You're literally just a fucking rapist in waiting. It's simple as that, but I can't see you. I can't see you to ban you. Well, I guess you're going to have to stay because I can't find you now. Okay. Do not argue with me on the minutiae of the point because I am just correct on this, okay? If you value your career as a Minecraft creator, you have to be a sexless eunuch. That's it. It's that simple. If you're not a sexless eunuch, guess what? You're going to get fucking cancelled. And you're going to have no fucking spine. And the audience around you are going to want to fucking eat you alive. So if you value your career, don't do it. That's it. Simple advice, okay? Correct advice. Done. Now, don't fucking argue with me on this stupid shit when I'm just correct, okay? Now, that being said, as I'm saying, this guy did do that, right? And he got unfairly treated, and this Caitlyn person came out with a bullshit story, and he got fucking cancelled. But initially, he came out with a good response. He came up with a good, solid response that pushed back pretty adequately on some of the issue, on some of the points that were being made, right? Unfortunately, after doing this response, for some reason, he folded. He fucking folded. And I don't understand why. I've got some schizo theories as to why. But he totally folded in a tweet and, apologised to Katie. Even though he kind of had the upper hand and things were slowly starting to turn towards him. So I was like, why did you do that? That's silly. Because he didn't want... Wait, what? Because he didn't want to be seen to be attacking her. Oh, do you think it's that he felt he went too hard in the video and then wanted to walk that back a bit? I mean, perhaps. I just think that he caved. I just think that he fucking caved. And I think it was a stupid thing to do. He didn't need to do that. But now he has issued a further response here, okay? So he's issued a further response. And I've not watched it yet. This is my first time watching it. So I don't know what it contains. I don't know what it says. Let's watch and let's see what happens.
For those of you who don't know, Caitibugz recently did a stream and accused me of something very serious. I made a response and then she made a follow-up response. This is my response to her follow-up. Throughout this video, I'm going to be showing clips from some other people just for context. And just to make it clear, I don't want any hate to be sent to anyone, including these people. Here are the 2 tweets that I posted about the situation. These are now deleted as I only made them to let people know that I had intentions to make a response. And I didn't want people to think I was just completely radio silent in the time that I needed to make those responses. First of all, I just want to make it clear that my tweet that I put out after my first statement wasn't somehow admitting to guilt or completely backtracking on what I originally said. My perspective had changed due to new information that Katie had provided. So now I'm just going to go over Katie's new statement and talk about what she had to say. So first,
wait, what's this? Brandon. It's because Dream had sex with the other girl who was drunk, so he tries to cover for him after Katie ran with drunk girls can't consent.
First, she acknowledges the texts that I showed about them talking about wanting to play the drinking games are real, but that they were from her friends. So this is reasonable. I only brought up that point because the implication was that it was kind of creepy of us and we were forcing the game on them.
There was more alcohol in the room, and we were encouraged to drink some more as they offered the bottles to us.
Yeah, this narrative that these guys, like, I think at worst it's like a kind of, there's a groupie, it's not as bad as the groupie days of the 70s, don't get me wrong, but there is a kind of, it feels like or seems like there's maybe some sort of groupie-esque element to some of these dynamics. And, you know, I don't really care about it that much. Again, it's like you want to try and avoid that if you value your career, of course, but it doesn't really matter that much. But the way that it's been presented by these people is this idea that, you know, they're sort of like predatory men that are getting young girls drunk to fuck them. And I think that's an excessive way of putting it. And it makes it sound way more rapey than it's fair to say, you know?
And insisted on drinking games, and already drunk, I obviously complied.
In reality, it was mutually talked about and everyone was just having fun. So next she mentions that one of the reasons she wanted to hang out in our hotel room was because there was another creator that was in the room, but then that creator didn't actually end up being there. Again, reasonable. I didn't know this at the time. There were people in and out of our hotel room throughout the whole event, so she could have potentially heard of anyone being there. When her group was on the way to the hotel, she was messaging me, bantering about whether or not I would actually be there or not.
Oh, yeah, we've seen this already, yeah. Banter.
And that made me think that she wanted me to be there. But I don't know, maybe she didn't care and she just wanted to see the other creator or just to be with her friends. Next, but I don't know, maybe...
Oh, wait, hang on. Oh, okay, yeah, of course. I think I might have looked at this and gotten a bit like the wrong way around before then because okay, yeah, this makes more sense. This is before they came back. So, yeah, if you come to Dream's Hotel again tonight, I'm shooting your leg, so don't. Oh, awkward. I'm in his room now. You're not going to do shit. So these messages here suggest an interest. They, you know, they're like playfully mean, right? And from a man's perspective, if you're sending this kind of message to them in the context of you meeting with them, you're going to be thinking, here we go, lads. We're fucking in, lads. Right? You're going to think this person has got some core, you know, fundamental level of interest in me. And you want to try and, like, if you're a party setting, you're going to want to try and kind of foster that and move things forward because you think they're interested in you. So this is quite literally a stupid message to send if you've got no interest whatsoever in someone. Like, this is the other thing that I think Katie's been dishonest about in how she's talking about this. Is it's clear she had some interest in it, right?
$4.99 from Smoky Guru. Streamers must avoid intercourse and become formless.
Very true.
Genderless slugs. This is the
Thank you
only
for the
way to
$4.99.
protect them.
Doesn't seem flirty, seems like a threat. You have to, okay, you must be autistic if you think this is a threat. Very clearly, this is a flirtatious message. This is the equivalent of pulling someone's hair, isn't it? You know? You're stinky. Oh, you're really stinky. But yeah, it's playful. It's playful. It's like, I hope it's sarcastic, playful, mildly flirtatious conversation. Very, very mild. Okay, so from his position, especially with his responses here, it's quite obvious that he's probably thinking, "I'm onto one here." You know, if I spend a bit of time with her, I'll be able to move things forward, right?
And she just wanted to see the other creator or just to be with her friends. Next, she shows our Instagram DMs, and she said that a reason she kept messaging me in a friendly way for a while after this whole thing happened was because, and this is a quote, she felt lucky to be talking to a verified account, someone famous, someone I had followed and watched for a while. Now,
$9.99 from Mr. Frex. Important, George cannot blatantly say anything and be 100% clear. He is relying on everyone looking at what he's presenting, because if he literally says it, big TRU blame.
Yeah, thank you, Topher. That's true. I think one thing to bear in mind with this response is that I know people want him to stand up and be very strong-minded and very strong-worded in what he says. Okay? But I think what he's recognized is that he needs to weave the needle on this a lot more carefully because, he's basically suspended above a pit of spikes. And if he fucks up and he's too strong or he comes across like he's attacking a victim, he's going to fall and get impaled. So he cannot be kind of bullish and be like, yeah, this fucking whore, da-da-da. Like, he has to be careful. So he's probably going to err on the side of caution, I think, in this response. But it's going to be annoying if he's a bit weak. But, we'll point that out as we go.
Oh, this is not something that I was thinking about at all. I wasn't aware that she ever watched my content in the past. That was never brought up. This actually makes me feel pretty bad. The only reason she was messaging me was because I have subscribers or something. I would never want that. Again, the only reason I actually brought up us messaging after the fact was to show that we were still friendly afterwards and that I didn't know that she was uncomfortable at the time. She also confirms that we did talk on Snapchat, like I said, but also that nothing really happened there either. The next thing she talks about is the elevator. She said that we left at the same time and that her hotel room was on the
obviously those messages. So yeah, he is saying like, it is frustrating. I get why people have got frustrated with this response. I do understand because he's not being explicit enough and saying it how it really is. Like, you were messaging me and you did not make any comment that made it seem like you were uncomfortable. So why on earth would I think you're uncomfortable, you stupid fucking bitch? Like, I wanted to say it like that. I think he's not going to say it like that. He's going to say it softer. But this response is he's having to leave a lot to subtleties and to subtext, which is kind of annoying. But whatever. It is what it is, okay? But the entire way she acted undermines the way that she's presented it 100%.
$4.99 from Nerd Angle. I disagree. His MC audience is still going to roast him. He should have come out stronger and started building an audience of not these freaks.
I don't really think there is an audience in Minecraft outside of these freaks. Like, the game is creates the nature of the audience. I don't think there's a big wave of people, unless he wants to pivot to doing commentary or something. I don't think there's a big enough audience that's going to want to watch him to keep his lifestyle and keep his viewership doing Minecraft content edgier. It just doesn't exist. So I think he has to, if he wants to retain the audience, he has to be softly catchy monkey, unfortunately for him.
Other side of the hotel, so there was like kind of two corridors connected by an elevator room in the middle. So she's saying that she was just going past the elevator to get to her room, and again, this is totally reasonable. I brought this up because from her stream, the way that it was told kind of implied that I followed her out and then that she waited to take the next elevator instead of getting in with me while I tried to convince her to get in. I'll just play the clip of her saying this, so I'm not speaking for her.
I went to leave and the older guy decided to leave with me. We walked to the elevators, where I didn't get on. He then pretended that the elevator was broken and that he couldn't leave, telling me to get in the elevator to prove it was broken.
In my original video, I just wanted to clarify this, that we left together because the night was over, and that she was on the same floor, so she didn't actually have to take the elevator, and it seems like she agrees with this now. So next she agrees with me that she didn't mention my online friend that I just met that day. She said she didn't mention him though because he left early and she didn't even know his name. And she shows a text message that she says is from him from the night where this happened, where he says this. Obviously this is implying that he was kind of uncomfortable with what was happening, and also that he knew her age, despite just meeting her. And when I first saw this actually majorly changed my perspective on the night, because that would mean that my friend was also uncomfortable and somehow knew her age when I didn't. And even though she said that he left early, my memory of it was actually that he was the last to leave, just before me and Katie left. Dream also came to me and mentioned that this changed his perspective of the night as well, because that would mean that he was essentially the only person that wasn't uncomfortable, and that therefore he should have known. This really concerned me. I kind of was just sitting there like really thinking how...
Okay, dude. I'm pretty sure that backs up the idea that Dream had a big hand in that statement that he put out, the second Twitter statement he put out, right?
$5 from D3 Wayne 3, but she couldn't leave except for all the times she got up and walked away and then went back.
Thank you for the $5. So yeah, that seems to kind of at least somewhat back up this idea that Dream was pulling the strings and was kind of like speaking to him. And yeah, Dream's own sense of personal preservation probably influenced him putting the statement out, right? Dude, everyone is saying that it was obviously weird. Get out there and just say sorry and then come up with something else.
How could this have happened? So I reached out to my friend to talk to him about it. And it turns out that he actually didn't send this message. I'm going to play a phone call that I had with him after I found this out, just because I think it gives more context.
What's up?
So there is a text that is claimed to be from you.
Yeah, I didn't send that text. I found out about it when you sent it to me. But yeah, no, that wasn't me. I don't know where they got that from. I didn't ask them for any of their phone numbers or anything like that.
Can you kind of just talk me through your, like, anything that you remember from essentially the entire event?
Well, I mean, possibly. Well, just chill out a little bit, okay? This doesn't prove the text was fake, because it could have been from someone else, right? But it certainly raises questions that need to be answered, right? So just chill out. Don't conclude just because it agrees with your point of view, okay? It's possible that's the case. It's possible it is fabricated, but it doesn't prove it. It's like okay, well, where did the message come from then? You know? The friends have admitted it's faked already. Where? Have you got okay, link that to me and I'll look at it. You know, obviously I've not looked at any of this, so this is all new to me. You know, I'm always very cautious before concluding. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it was an enormous part. Well, it was the main reason that text message would be important to analyze is purely just off the back of, like, it makes it seem like everyone around was super creeped out by it. But then if that isn't real, then no one was really that bothered. So it undermines the idea that people were bothered at the time. So it just, again, undermines a story that, like, this was so obviously bad at the time when it doesn't seem like it really was, right? Anyway, let's keep going.
A little bit before VidCon, I hit you up to hang out, and then you mentioned that you had an extra bed for your hotel. We got there around like 5 o'clock. We just went up to your room, like met up. I think it was towards like 9 or 10 o'clock. We met up at Dream Spot. Then it was just us three for a bit, and then you or Dream mentioned like just having some people come over and hang out. We were playing, I forget what the drink game was called.
But how do I make money?
I think it was kind of like Cards Against Humanity, something similar to that.
You have to ask for explicit verbal consent to interact with a female, but asking for consent to interact is interaction. If you see a woman,
Very true.
commit separate.
Thank you for the $10. Also, does it work the other way? Does a woman need to ask for consent, or is that not how it works?
I didn't really notice anything out of the ordinary. I didn't really notice any like bad vibes or anything like that. It was a little playful, maybe a little flirty. I noticed that you guys were just kind of like playing with each other and just like kind of cuddled up a little bit on the couch. So I was just, it definitely didn't seem like she was like uncomfortable, you know? I don't know, it seemed like everybody that was there was having a good time, because I mean we were there pretty late, so I don't.
They both had errors in the chain of events. Yeah, of course. That's why, generally speaking, as with anything, the truth will lie in the middle somewhere, right? But yeah, I'd like to see what are you saying? So you're saying that they've confirmed that the message was faked. Where is that happening? Like, do you have a link to that? I just want to know. Listen, if there's good evidence for that, we'll fucking go straight with that. Yeah, but I just want to be sure before we jump on board with that.
Really follow like this internet stuff like that, so I'm not up to date with what's going on online. The way she was explaining everything, I mean, at least to me, like it was not like that at all. To me, it kind of seems like a misunderstanding. There wasn't really a thought in my mind that like, oh, this girl like could be in some sort of danger or she's being like preyed on or anything like that. Because yeah, even though George is my friend, if I noticed him doing anything that I wouldn't want someone I'm friends with to do, then I would, you know, I either would say something about it or not be a part of that situation.
She says that you left early on in the night. Could you talk about that?
I think around like 3 or 3:30, I went to go get tacos. I think I got the party pack or something. For some reason, I couldn't believe I actually went and got tacos. I know for a fact that I got the tacos like extremely late.
Why did no one in the room say something if there was discomfort? Because at the time, there was no discomfort. At the time, I don't think anybody thought it was that big a deal or crazy. This is all post hoc. All of this is post hoc rationalization. Okay? That's it. At the time, everything was chill. Everything was fine. There was no big risk. No one was getting fucking molested. No one was getting sexually assaulted. But afterwards, it's all changed. You know, again, if you go back and look at the messages from Katie the next day, it's very clear that the day after, she didn't have that big a problem with it. She just felt a bit weird about it, and that was it. And she moved on. But then, after allegedly a period of a few weeks, she was all of a sudden crying in people's arms about it. Again, I'm pretty sure because her friends gaslighted her and told her it was worse than it was, and it fucking, you know, that's why she's fucking schizoed out about it. I think.
Like, I had to go in their drive-thru even though I was in a car. Like, I had to walk through their drive-thru and, like, order through their speaker. That was fun. I know I left at 5, or very close to that time, because right after 5, I texted Dream that I left open the deadbolt on his door. Right after I left, I texted him that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's such a critical piece of information. Happy St. Paddy's Day to you too. It's such critical information that this happened after the Wilbur Soot stuff dropped, right? There's something about that that's key, okay? Because why didn't this come up at any point before? Like, the person who it claims that this woman was crying in his arms weeks later, right, makes out like, oh yeah, she knew within weeks after that. But then Dream investigated the night because someone had claimed he was feeding drinks to underage people and no wrongdoing was found at that point, right? And all the way up till this fucking year, no fucking issues. But then the Wilbur Soot stuff happens, and then after the Wilbur Soot stuff happens, she comes out with her story. There's been ample opportunity for this to come forward. And these people who apparently knew about this, allegedly, like, they would have told people and this would have spread already. But this was news to everyone. So, you know, it seems so obvious to me that it's all post hoc rationalization. Her friends have had a big hand in, you know, pushing her forward in order to tell the story the way that she has. And at the time it happened, she didn't have a significant issue with it, beyond perhaps feeling a bit weird about the situation. You know, post drinking, regret for, you know, being a bit too flirtatious with someone you didn't want to be or something, right?
No, I think that was at like 5:10 a.m. Can genuinely say I had a really good night. That's kind of the impression that I got from everybody else too. Is like everybody was having a good time, but hopefully, you know, you and Katie can maybe, I don't know if be friends is the right word, but I hope she feels better about it, because, you know, I feel bad that she feels this way, but I don't know, it's kind of bad situation. It's just fucking wild that, like, this whole situation came from, like, that night. It was just, like, mind-boggling, dude. Like, I couldn't really believe it, like, half the shit I was seeing. Like, as someone that was there, like other ways that I've heard it being, like, described, like, from what I was, like, reading and watching online is actually kind of insane.
So obviously after this conversation with him, I was pretty confused maybe it was like a misunderstanding or something, because obviously they wouldn't just show this screenshot if it was fake, because I could disprove that pretty easily. So I had Dream reach out to get some clarification on it. So they replied back and essentially just said that it was an accident and that Katie had gotten confused on who said what. And I'm really not trying to nitpick anything here. I just really think it's important to make sure.
Oh, right. Okay. So right. It's what I said then. It's not that it's fake. It's that it was sent from someone else, right? Is that what happened? But Katie could well be being dishonest about the accident part, right? It's probably more likely that it was like, oh, this backs up my fucking story. Put that in there or something. Like if she presumably she's the one that fucking edited the name out of it, right? But like it's not. So it's not a fabricated message, as in someone's not done inspect element on something and fucking changed it to say that when it said something else. The message is real, but it didn't come from who Katie was trying to claim it was coming from. And it's likely that she was being dishonest in a presentation of that, and that she didn't know who it was from because she's the one that presumably edited it out. And it was used to back up this story that even people on his side of the aisle knew what was going on and knew that it was fucking weird. But that wasn't the case, and it was someone else, right? Is that what it is?
Sure that everyone has the full picture of the whole event as it happened so that people can accurately form their own opinion. Anyway, the next thing that she talks about is the cuddling. She said, and this is a quote, "A lot of the touch was initiated by him, probably not realizing it. A lot of the cuddling he may have felt was personal, but it was just me being drunk."
And here's another thing as well. Okay. Who helped her, do you think? Like, I don't know. It's possible that maybe she had some help as well along the way. And I'll be interested to know if there was help in getting some of this stuff together. That's another possibility. You know, you could imagine Amesy, oh no, look at this message, oh, or something. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. There's so many different possibilities of this. But I think at a very fundamental level, I think Katie has misrepresented her side of the story numerous times. And regardless of whatever the intent or the reason for that is, it's still fucked up. And it's still presented a much worse image of this guy than is actually justified by what the evidence shows and what people's kind of views on it are.
Drunk. I do think a lot of the cuddling was initiated by me, but some of it wasn't. I was also drunk, but my impression at the time was that it was very mutual. She also says that, quote, "I didn't know cuddling was an invitation." I don't think just cuddling is an invitation for anything. I only brought the cuddling up because it's something that she didn't mention at all in her original stream.
Yes.
We sat on the couch, and the older guy sat right next to me while playing. It was a little after that, when I resorted to playing games on my phone when it happened.
And again, it's something that I think people need to know about to understand my perspective fully. The next thing that she talks about is that I said she got up and sat back down with me multiple times. She agreed with this, but said that the reason she did this is because, quote, "I didn't want someone I had watched for a while or with a large following to hate me for denying to even sit near him." Now this makes me feel terrible. It's something that she mentions throughout, this power imbalance, but this is not something at all that I was thinking about at the time. She was a VidCon invited guest. She had a hotel room on the same floor as Dream.
God, I hate this. Is such a soy way of putting it, because it just, as long as the power imbalance isn't being, like, if he was saying to her, you know, the classic, "Hey darling, listen, if you get with me, I'll make sure that your YouTube channel is going to go right up there." Okay, or something like that, right? Exactly. There's nothing wrong with the power balance unless it's abused. So this is the way these people interpret it. You kind of have to say it like this if you want to placate this audience that he's trying to placate. But it's not much of a fucking power imbalance, man. You know, it's certainly not been abused, even if there is some sort of power imbalance there, right? But also, yeah, I just think that, you know, if you're in the Minecraft community, I mean, do you want to play? Think of it like this: do you want to pay the Minecraft tax or not? Okay, if you don't want to pay the Minecraft tax, then you're going to have to do everything you can to completely, you know, remove yourself from those sorts of situations. What was it Mike Pence said? Mike Pence, oh my God, Mike Pence was right. Mike Pence said, like, I'd never be alone in a room with a woman, and people freaked out about it. Well, no, he's correct. That's actually a good way to protect yourself. That's actually a great way to protect yourself if you've got a fucking Minecraft. Follow the pence rule if you're a Minecraft creator, and you're not going to go far wrong. You know, is it right that you have to do that? No, it's retarded. But if you follow the pence rule, you're going to be golden, and you'll probably never have to pay the Minecraft tax. Okay? Boom. Pence knows. Pence fucking knows.
She was friends with my friends, and honestly, I just never imagined that this is something that she could have thought. And I do think that's my problem. I should have been aware of this, or at least the possibility of this being the case. And I am sorry. I feel terrible about it. I've never really thought about power imbalance at all, to be honest.
Oh, did I get... Oh, it's even more reasonable then. I thought it was more, you know, harsh than that. But that's actually a very reasonable rule. The rule was never meet a woman after 5 p.m. who is not your wife. Dude, if you follow that rule, and you probably need to add some provisos for Discord conversations on there too, okay? But if you follow that rule in the Minecraft community,
okay, that's wonderful.
You're
how do I make money
tax-free.
off
You're
depressed people?
Thank you for the $2. Your Minecraft money is going to be tucked away in the Cayman Islands. No one's ever touching that. The tax man will not be coming for you then. Let's go! Win pence. Win pence. You're tax exempt. Yeah. You're Minecraft tax exempt.
In that room, I wasn't thinking about, you know, YouTube subscribers or fame or power or anything at all like that. I just saw us all as friends, hanging out, having fun. Again, I'm not trying to downplay this by saying this. It is genuinely something that I'm going to be thinking about going into the future. This comes up again later, and I'll have more to say then. Next, she talks about how I mentioned that she stayed for hours even after her best friend left. She says that her best friend left throwing up in her hand, and that she didn't know she had left. That she didn't make the conscious decision to stay. Now, this isn't my recollection of what happened. I remember Ghosty getting up to leave and Katie getting up to say goodbye to her. I also asked Dream about this, and he had the same recollection as me. We were all drunk, so I can't 100% say for sure what actually happened, but as per my memory, she was aware that Ghosty had left. Also, according to what she said, Katie and Ghosty were sharing the same hotel room together. So the obvious assumption is that they would probably leave together. The fact that she chose to stay, despite not really knowing most of the people there, gave me a pretty positive impression on how she felt about staying there. She says that after Ghosty left, quote, I put up with it in the moment because I thought it was the price I had to pay to be around such big creators. Again, like I said before, this is just not something I even thought she could be thinking, and I'm sorry that I didn't. Next, she talks about me being more touchy as the night went on, and says this, quote, you didn't know me, apparently you didn't even know my age, but you knew what I wanted. No, he assumed it's what I wanted because why wouldn't I want that from someone like him? This is...
I mean, I'm maybe... You assume a lot in a romantic setting, right? You do assume. That's just the way it works. You assume that someone is going to be interested in you opening flirting. You assume that if you're cuddling someone, they may be open to like a touch, and you're not going to have to go, can I please touch you? But that is DK's right. That is true. But never forget, do not assume because it makes an ass out of you and me. That's good advice too.
Absolutely not how I think about this kind of situation at all.
Are YouTubers just not supposed to date? I just think it's tough because...
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
$4.99 from Agent Fulgore, based department. Avoid accusations by ignoring women and staying celibate. Monk Mode W.
The thing is, here's the way I look at it now, okay? Yes. No, I think what it is like, MeToo is not going away, okay? Take the black pill. The MeToo stuff is only going to get worse and worse and worse, right? That's it. That's the reality of it. This stuff is going to continue on. We've seen crazy stuff happen with this. And I'm sure it's going to continue onwards, right? And I think that you do need to cut off certain things if you don't want to have controversy, because this is the way it's going. That sucks, but I just don't know any other way. Like, you've got to get real with this as a guy, that this is a big risk. Yeah, there's a big risk to you. And you've got to act accordingly. Is it right? I don't think so. I think people are allowed to make mistakes. I don't think people are allowed to fuck things up and not be cancelled. But that is the temperature of the thing. So as a guy, you know, you have to fucking act smart about this. And you do have to possibly cut off things that would probably be okay in another world, where you're not, you're not kind of trying to rizz people up with these parties, and you're not trying to push things forward, and you're not in Discord DMs with people, and so on and so on and so on, you know? And even though it sucks, you're going to have to, if you want those attachments, it's best to seek them out outside of the community, so you never have to fucking deal or contend with this shit. And it's not even about fans. Other creators too. Other creators too present issues. It's just, it's pragmatic. It's just being pragmatic about it, as far as I can see. Like I say, you know, if you value your career, and you want to avoid this, you have to act accordingly. It's not right. It's not correct necessarily, because there's no harm being done necessarily, but it's just about being more cautious to protect yourself, protect your career, protect your brand, whatever, you know? That's just the way it is, unfortunately.
I would never think like that, and honestly, it's kind of an evil way to think about things. Just having the opinion that you can do anything because you're famous or whatever. And I never once remotely thought anything similar to that. And I feel terrible reading those words, knowing that you think that about me. I would never think that I'm owed anything from anyone just because I have a YouTube channel, especially in an intimate context. Again, I'm really sorry for this, and it actually has been pretty eye-opening to me, and it's just not how I've ever really thought about stuff before. And I don't really think you're wrong for assuming that.
Dude, this is like, this is going to just lead to all the dysfunctional thoughts about this stuff, isn't it, really? Also, it's like, this apologizing is very cringe. I don't like this endless apology. I'm sorry that you felt like that type shit. It's just like, dude, this person's fucked you, but you know, man. I guess from his perspective, he's over that big pit of spikes, and he doesn't want to fall off and get mangled by them. So he's being very cautious and being overly apologetic.
I thought like this because obviously there are people out there that think like that and use that to take advantage of people. And it makes sense that if you think that about me, that you would hate me. But that is not who I am at all. And I just really hope that you can understand that. Now, another thing that she mentioned that changed my perspective on things was that she showed texts from two of her friends the day after, checking up on her to see how she felt. She says, quote, "In the moment I was chilling, but thinking back on it, I'm sweating a little bit like, damn. I also don't know if I was chilling in the moment because
subtly.
I was drunk." And this is something that I was actually completely unaware of. I wasn't aware of any uncomfortableness in the moment, after the fact, or even after Katie's first stream. I just wasn't aware that anyone had expressed discomfort until I saw these texts. I actually had the opposite impression just because we were all really friendly afterwards still. Dream actually had a conversation about this with almost...
Dude, it is so... It hits like a bus, man. To kind of have a conversation that then gets presented in a different way. And then, you know, from his perspective, he's thinking probably nothing of it, right? He's probably not thought twice about it because there's been no signs that he needs to think twice about it. Everything has been tickety-boo as far as he's concerned. But then all of a sudden, you've got to contend with this person coming out and claiming that they've assaulted you at a party when everything they've said since then is like, yeah, everything's chill, everything's Gucci, no problems. Jesus Christ, man. It is crazy. And that exactly skeptical, yeah, that's the other point too. Why didn't she message him about it? This guy clearly is not some fucking raper, molester, whatever, right? Why not go to him and say, hey man, I want to talk about that party. I'm reflecting on it now and I feel a bit differently about it. Can we talk about it? And then hash it out, right? And there you go, problem solved. And by the way, this is how things get solved in the real world all the fucking time. And again, I'm clicking my fingers. It's happening now. Again, right? But there's uncomfortable situations happening, and then later on they go to be addressed and discussed, and you kind of sort it out and move forward. Yeah, the clout thing. My rough idea is that she had shit put into her head by her friends and was gaslighted into thinking it was worse than it is, okay? And then I reckon that the Wilbur Soot stuff came out, and it was probably a twofold thing. I think she saw the kind of support that Shubble was getting and wanted a bit of the action, okay? Not even necessarily like not even like a mustache twirling villain. I'm going to come out about this and I'm going to get loads of attention. It could be a subconscious thing even, right? But I also bet that her friends pushed her forward too, okay? I also bet that her friends probably had a hand in her coming forward as well. And I reckon that they probably put the word in and spoke to her and, you know, maybe even very subtly, but made it so she came forward. Because it's too crazy that Wilbur Soot happens and then this comes out, right? Undoubtedly, there was something happening there that led to that, right?
Almost everyone that was in that room a few months later. One of their friends had actually tweeted about Dream, saying that he was inviting an 18-year-old girl back to his hotel.
Yes,
to drink
this point is good.
And was implying very negative things about Dream being a predator. So Dream realized this could have only been about Katie because it was a pretty specific call out, but thought that it was just being purposefully misleading from someone that hated him. Dream actually had no idea as well that anyone was uncomfortable and assumed that this tweet was implying Katie was uncomfortable with Dream. He reached out to Ghosty about it, asking what this was even about, and did the
Oh, this is more juice. Yes. Oh my God. Yes, this. Exactly this. Why did it not come up at this point when this guy made this tweet? And now we're getting more juice. Again, just more evidence of this post hoc theory that I think is more fact now. That even at this point it wasn't seen in that way, because otherwise it would have come up here. About Katie, implying I'm a pedo or something and trying to hook up with her, like, what if it wasn't like that at all? Holy fuck, yeah, that's insane. You guys only came because I invited blank, and she asked if you guys could come, and I said sure. I didn't know anything about you guys, nor was I trying to have sex with Katie. Lol. Katie never once implied you tried to get with her either. Like, at that point, the George thing would come up if at this stage she felt like she was assaulted or hurt or raped or whatever, okay? It's so insane to think it wouldn't.
The same to others, including Katie. Now, I'm not going to be showing Katie's text with Drew.
Like, Katie is cool. I enjoyed hanging out with her. I'd like to be her friend, but that's because of her personality, not because I'm trying to have sex with her, lol. Yeah. Invite an 18-year-old to your hotel to have drinks is so disingenuous. Like, no, 100%. I totally get that this situation is absolutely crazy, and I don't think Katie is going to be happiest to hear that Harry did this. I don't think Katie is going to be the happiest to hear that Harry did this. So you're telling me that Katie, who apparently at this point had recognised and knew that they'd been assaulted, would be unhappy that there was scrutiny coming to the night that they got assaulted? That is fucking stupid.
Dream, because at the time Dream had told her that her messages and conversation would not leave.
But how do I make money off depressed people?
$5 from D3 Wayne 3. She cried in my arms.
Thank you for the $5. Yes, she replied to me. Wrong reaction, sorry. Yeah, I don't think Katie is too happy with this. Yeah, I don't think Katie is too happy with this. I'm sorry this is happening. So presumably by this point she's spoken to Katie. Obviously we can't see that conversation, but she's relaying that Katie isn't happy. Whereas, again, if it was assault, you'd have thought, oh, well, actually, I spoke to Katie and she said, George, da-da-da-da. None of that. Nothing. Not even a fucking reference to any of that shit. Okay. I won't show exactly what she said because I told her I wouldn't share a reply, even though you're besties, but it was kind of a weird reply in my opinion. She didn't reply like you and blank being like, yeah, you did nothing wrong, Lamau. She replied saying she didn't like Harry, but avoided being like, yeah, no, it's weird he said that. I assume it's just out of anxiety or she's afraid of losing friends or something. Okay. So in fairness, Maybe there was something in the message that suggested something had happened. So maybe. What did he just say there?
What this was even about, and did the same to others, including Katie. Now, I'm not going to be showing Katie's text with Dream because at the time Dream had told her that her messages and conversation would not leave their texts. However, here is Dream and Ghosty's conversation about it. I was never brought up or mentioned at all. And also, when Dream makes fun of Harry for being ridiculous and making stuff up because nothing happened and we were all still friends, she said, exactly. She actually spoke about this on her stream very recently, and I don't want to speak for her, so I'm going to play the clip where she clarifies these messages.
Wait a second. Release the... Okay. I guess you can't release the logs because, dude, it's just so crazy that you're not going to release the logs. Release the logs. Release the Kraken. Let's go back a sec. Definitely, especially because Katie does really care for those guys over there because they're super close to her, but I don't think she's the most happy right now. Oh, wait. I know what it is. I know what it is. Okay, this is Schizo Theory mode, okay? So bear in mind, Schizo Theory mode is engaged. What if, because, so Katie does really care for those guys over there. So that is talking about the Brighton bastards, isn't it? Right? That's a reference to the Brighton crew. So is this some sort of like indication that she's in now with the Brighton lot? And that maybe the gaslighting process is beginning. And maybe she's a bit cautious because she's starting to recontextualize her own reality as they start filling her ear with poison. Possibly. Maybe. Possibly? I don't know. I wish we could see the messages. God, that would be so good if we could just see the fucking messages and then we could know for sure what's going on. It was a kind of weird reply, in my opinion. She didn't reply like you and blank, being like, yeah, you did nothing wrong, Lamau. She replied saying she didn't tell Harry, but avoided being like, yeah, no, it's weird he said that. But again, George isn't mentioned. So I think to think that this, like, the fact that George isn't mentioned is telling, because George would surely be mentioned here if at this point she was contextualizing her interaction as some sort of a sexual assault or rape. This would be the perfect time to bring it up. Okay? But is there some poisoning happen otherwise that's leading her to be a bit cautious in the response? Possibly. Maybe. I think that's indicative of this game of rapes. Rape of Thrones. Okay? Anyway. End of the Schizo Theory. Let's get back on track. Especially, yeah.
However, here is Dream and Ghosty's conversation.
Dude, this is all these texts, dude. The numbers, Mason, what do they mean? All of these texts are fucking backing up my theory, though, look.
Her messages and conversation would not leave their texts. However,
definitely, especially because Katie does really care for those guys over there because they're super close to her. But I don't think she's the most happy right now. Yeah, I mean, she's in a tough spot now, though, because of him, which is stupid, because he said it, and even though he deleted it, it's out there. The UK gang over there despised me. Yes! The Schizo Theory is there's proof, more proof now! A recognition? The UK gang don't like me? Oh my god, come on. Dude, it's all coming together. Do you see it too? He fully made it seem so much worse than it actually was. Katie said she didn't even tell them the entire situation and that he just made that shit seem like that for drama. It's honestly so crazy that he even tweeted that without consulting Katie first. Yeah, it's insane. So yeah, I reckon there was like some conversation about this and it was kind of being pushed in a direction of this being kind of maybe weird at the time. Oh, what? Dream was drinking with you and you were 18. But it's like the start of the gaslighting process. So they haven't fully got the claws into her to where she's willing to say that it's a sexual assault, but there's enough swirling around in her head that she's making out like maybe something a bit weird happened without being specific, right? So clearly I think it's obvious that Katie or someone from the Brighton Bastards had said something to this guy to make it seem like that was the case, and he fucking said his thing on social media, but now, you know, Dream is fucking in there finding it out and it's getting brought back a bit, right? They were talking shit, yes. The rape palace. I'm in my rape palace.
Here is Dream and Ghosty's conversation about it. I was never brought up or mentioned at all.
Wait, hang on. Wait, what the? Yeah, I mean, he's a tough spot now. He's like fully made it seem so much worse than it was. Okay, right, we've seen that bit. Come on!
Dream and Ghosty's conversation about it.
Right, here we go. In a different world, if something bad had happened, like him not even... If in a different world... In a different world, if something bad had happened, like him not even asking Katie about it is crazy. Like, love that guy, but that's fucking insane. So disrespectful, literally. It's worse that nothing did, because obviously he knows nothing exactly.
Never brought up or mentioned at all.
Like, bro, Harry is an idiot. And now people are praising him for respecting victims, my ass.
And also, when Dream makes fun of Harry for being ridiculous and making stuff up because nothing happened, and we were all still friends, she said, exactly. She actually spoke about this on her stream very recently, and I don't want to speak for her, so I'm going to play the clip where she clarifies these messages.
The only time that we...
So we're cancelling based on hypothetical... Who's cancelling Rhino TV? Explain to me who is cancelling exactly. I'm not cancelling anyone. I'm just positing my schizo theory that this is better understood as a battle between two warring factions of the Minecraft YouTube community, right? That's my fucking role in this. I'm not trying to cancel anyone. I don't fucking care what happens to these people. They all deserve each other as far as I'm concerned.
We had a conversation about anything that had to do with that night was obviously when the stuff with Harry happened. And he texted me asking if it seemed like anything had happened. And I, at the time, said no, because the conversation was not about George. The conversation was about him. And it was about the underage drinking. And it wasn't ever about whether or not Katie, you know, it was always just about him and not George.
That's total cope from this person. That doesn't make any sense. So you're telling me that your friend got assaulted and you knew at the time on the night, and when it was being investigated, you didn't say a word about it. And you even made comments that suggested the exact opposite. Come on now. So I think by this point in time, the assault hadn't been, yassified yet. So it had to be kind of a broad, it's a bit weird, because that's probably the message that was floating about at the time. Okay? I'm telling you, we know what's happening.
Which is why I said, dude, no, nothing seemed wrong, because he wasn't doing anything wrong, and I can stand by that. I will stand by that comment, and I said that in one of my posts that, like it wasn't him. That was our conversation. It was never about George. It was about him and the Harry situation, and it was about me. At the time, had seemed that Dream was one who had taken advantage of Katie, and I said he didn't, and I didn't lie.
And Ghosty, I'm really not trying to use your words against Katie
wonderful.
or you.
But how do
I'm
I
just
make money off depressed people?
$9.99 from Stafrex. This woman put this statement out to only cover her butt cause she left her friend alone at the party, and she would be held accountable if anything had happened to her friend.
Yes, and now she's concocting this idea that he wasn't brought up because it was only about Dream to cover up the fact that it wasn't decided that it was assault at the time, and it's much more recently likely that that's happened. It's all coming together. It's all coming together, guys. Yeah, okay.
trying to paint an accurate picture of our perspective of the night.
Oh, one other thing I was going to say is, look, I appreciate that some people feel this is spineless or weak or something like that, right? But I think this is actually a really good response because he is getting out there the message, but he's doing it in a way that he doesn't come across as bad. He's not calling her a lying, deviant whore. He's saying, oh, look, guys, I'm not looking to use the words against them, but here's how the words work against them, right? You see that happening.
And to do that, I kind of have to talk about everything that we knew. I don't think your words negate at all how Katie felt, of course, but they did affect how I perceived the situation afterwards. Even after Katie's stream, this kind of confused us, and Dream especially, because he thought that this would have come up in these conversations. Now, he was so confused that he was convinced that Harry was essentially being malicious. And he...
Yes, exactly. Oh my God. He was so confused. Dream was so confused why it didn't come up then. right? When we can say it plainly, it didn't come up then because the story wasn't fucking concocted by that point, was it? Right? Or the yassification hadn't happened. It hadn't conceptualized as assault then. But they can't say that. But what they can say is, we were kind of confused why it didn't come up then. That's the way that you do it if you're trying to placate the fucking audience, which they to a degree have to do, okay?
He said this, and Ghosty and others there agreed with him. Ghosty even said that her friends should get to know him because she and Katie had actually had pretty negative opinions of Dream before meeting him, but had their minds changed after meeting him at VidCon. This is obviously said about Dream and not me, but Dream looked at this as positive about the entire experience and shared this with me. It seems like Ghosty has changed her mind about this now, but I just think it's really relevant to how we felt about the situation as a whole and to show this to you guys. Honestly, over the last year or so, anytime a creator has kind of distanced themselves from me, I just assumed it was because of Dream. Dream had false grooming allegations against him, and I assumed that because of this and my association with Dream, people didn't like me. After Dream posted his video disproving these allegations, I honestly thought pretty poorly of creators that were still negative to me, as now I thought there was literally no reason for it. And now, after seeing Katie's follow-up, I realized that probably everyone knew about this behind the scenes. And I think that is insane. I was walking around with these people at other events or interact with them in any way, and all the time they were just thinking terribly about me. And
wait, what is this? Sorry, it might not pop up. Thank you for the membership, Ollie. George must escape the MC freaks and join the managed democracy community for liberty and freedom. Thank you very much.
I didn't even know, and neither did any of my friends. If I'd seen Katie in person, I would have gone up to her normally. I would have assumed we were still friends. I think this is a massive injustice to Katie. It actually kind of makes me rethink a lot of my experiences with other creators, just looking back on it with this new information. And I don't even know who these people are. And even right now, after all of this information is public and out there, I still haven't had a single private conversation with anyone who knew about it prior to Katie's stream. This is all just to say that I didn't have any idea that there was...
So yeah, so it is completely implausible to me that Katie, particularly when other creators from the Brighton Bastards have come forward and said like, oh yeah, she told me about it, like that fucking guy that had the voice crack, that like this would be put out there in a way that wouldn't then get spread about a bit, you know? Do you see what I mean? It seems so crazy to me to think that like, well, no, this guy knew weeks after it happened, and then no one knew to the point where he had no idea it was happening.
A problem, and I wish that I had, and I should have. The last thing to mention is her age. Like I said, I wasn't aware at the time that she was 18. I mentioned that they had come from an official VidCon after party, they were drunk, and I made the assumption that, knowing how these events are run, that she was probably over the age of 21, as they wouldn't have been able to drink in there otherwise. Now, they actually said that they drank somewhere else briefly before showing up, and that makes more sense. It is somewhere else briefly before.
The age thing, I mean, he's got to address the age thing. I don't think it's that big a deal whether they were 18 or 21. You know, but obviously the story hinges more on the idea that she was 18 because it sounds more predatory, right? What is this? No one drank at the Instagram party because we really weren't there for long, but there was drinking that happened before we got to their hotel room that I completely forgot about because I hadn't really been drunk until we got there. The night was kind of a blur. Lots of different stories coming out, isn't there?
Before showing up, and that makes more sense. It is irresponsible of me that I made this assumption, and going forward, I will make sure to explicitly ask for a person's age. And I'm sorry, Katie, that I did not do that for you. I also brought up how when I was going back through the texts, I found a picture of one of them wearing a 21 plus age wristband, and I showed this picture. Now, this is from a group chat that I wasn't in, but Dream showed me this when I was making my video, and I figured it was relevant to why I was under the impression she wasn't 18. It is now mentioned that Katie wasn't actually the one that was wearing it, and it was just someone else's hand. So in these texts, they say, this is a quote, "Loose-ass 21 plus wristband. We have a strat." Now, to explain what this
strat means... So the idea is you have the wristband, you slip it off and give it to your friend to make it seem like they're 21. Ooh.
Is for the people that...
You did, Styler, you did. Stylo on the money once again.
Haven't really been in a club environment or
You did,
a place
Stylo.
where you would get a
Credit to
wristband like
Stylo
this.
for that one.
Essentially, they give you this wristband to show that you are over 21 so that you can get drinks from the bar. These wristbands are made in a way so that once they're put on, they cannot be taken off without breaking it. And that's precisely why they're used, to prevent people from underage drinking. But clearly the security that gave the girls these bracelets didn't do a good enough job and didn't put it on tight enough. And this just shows that you can never be too careful and shouldn't make assumptions like I did. And I should have asked for her age. And I'm sorry that I did not. This is not a mistake that I will make again. From Katie's statement, it kind of seems like...
I mean, yeah, that's fine, you know. I mean, yeah. I mean, dude, it's just kind of annoying. It's annoying that he's got to be soy here, but I do get it, right? But yeah, I mean, it doesn't really make that much difference. And yeah, like if you're at a party and there's people drinking and stuff, and like I don't know, it's a very weird thing for me, because if someone was 18 at a party, right, within reason, if you're 50 pursuing them or something, you might come across as a bit of a creeper. But like, you know, it's just not really that big a deal. But I know in America it's different. But people are kind of hinging on this. I think my whole problem with this is there is a conversation you can have about this, the dynamics at play. But like, the whole point of the age is not to have a reasonable conversation about these sorts of affairs. It's to babyfy, it's to childify Katie and make it seem like Katie is much younger than she truly is. And that's why I just hate this fucking discussion about this, because it's done in such a disingenuous way by the people on the other side, particularly the freshly 18 element, you know? The freshly 18 thing is so fucking gay. And the only reason people say that, despite the fact that apparently she was 6 months into being 18, is just to paint this idea that she's like a child, when it's just not true. It's like the post-minor thing. Remember that? Post-minor. Ooh, they're a post-minor. Stupid.
Like she didn't believe that I didn't know she was 18 and kind of thinks I'm just being dishonest about it. She said that she had it in her bio and that I DM'd her, so she was very confident that I knew.
Later that night, when I left, I received Instagram DMs from him, and in my Instagram bio, in bold, was my age, 18, confirming he knew how old I was.
For context, as you can see here in this screenshot, her age is actually in her display name on Instagram. And because of this, I was also pretty confused how I didn't know that she was 18, as it's literally in her name, not even in her bio. It's in her name. If it was in her bio, it would make sense to me, because I could totally see myself going to her profile the first time I wanted to message her and just clicking message and never really going back to her profile. And essentially just any time I interact with her was just through the direct DMs, where you actually can't see someone's bio. So I actually completely see where she's coming from, and it does seem kind of ridiculous that I didn't know. So because of all this, I actually started to look into this quite a lot, because I know that I'm not stupid and must have seen it. But also in my head, I know that I didn't know her age, so it conflicts. So today I actually found out there are two different types of professional Instagram account. There's a creator account and a business account.
Oh, dude! This guy went full autismo mode on this shit, based. We're getting into the intricacies of what kind of accounts there are.
And for some reason, Katie's account was a business account instead of a creator account. We actually joked about this at the time through our DMs, because I was actually able to book her as like a business, and I didn't really know why I was able to do that. And
July 13th, book now. Shut the fuck up, business. I can literally book you. What? Yeah, I'm going to need $10 for this convo, please and thanks. I'm glad we're getting a few more of these DMs as well, because it really undermines the narrative that she's tried to present now, that she was assaulted, because there's all these messages of her just playfully talking to them.
Weirdly enough, it actually turns out that business accounts don't display special characters from a username in the username that's displayed. And if you don't know what I mean by special characters, basically just a character that isn't
an
something you
emoji
can type on a normal keyboard. And because her age and the smiley is a special character, it literally just didn't display it in her username at all. And you can actually see this in a picture that I sent to her during our messages, that her age is not displayed in her name. And you can also see this in the screenshots that I used in my previous video, that her age also isn't visible, despite the fact that her age was in her name at this.
What are these? You can't say dickhead. That's only for English people to say. I just drank at Spoons last night. I say I'm British enough. When was this? When were these messages? Oh shit, maybe you are British. What the fuck? Well, I drank at Simmons Bar last night, and you probably don't even know what that is, so you're less British than me. What are you doing in England? Rue said Simmons Bar was gay, so awkward, and I'm living life the British way, partying, clubbing, etc. And this was lit. It's so absurd, isn't it? You know, like the tone of these messages. There's nothing here to suggest any wrongdoing at all. Using gay as an insult, typical from a stupid business like you. Like she's, you know, it's not explicitly like, oh yeah, I'm down DTF or whatever, right? But it is definitely flirtatious. It's flirtatious. You're flirting. You're flirting, right? Why would you be talk like the fundamental question is this? Why would you talk like this to someone that you at the time believed had assaulted you? You just wouldn't. It's completely fucking cope delusional bullshit. Okay? So obviously transparent that at this time you do not think he'd fucking assaulted you. Anyway.
This time. But now actually as of today, her account isn't a business account anymore, so her age shows up again. And this is a screenshot I took today. Obviously, this wasn't a feature that I knew about at the time. And I actually had to do quite a bit of research today to work that out. So I hope that could kind of clear that up a little bit, and that...
Oh, that's interesting. So yeah, the age wasn't in there.
Maybe you can see how I wouldn't have seen it. I actually do think that the age difference between me and Katie was a pretty big factor. I am older than her, and based on what she said, I do have more experience than her. She never went...
How do you not know who sent this message? Because there's two things here, right? Number one, she censored the message and is just being dishonest about it. She sends the message and forgot, least likely, okay? Number two, she censored the message and is lying about it, possible, right? Or, alternatively, number three, she had help preparing this document and this was sent by a third party. And she just put it in because it backed her idea up. But if that's the case, who sent this? Where did this come from? Ooh. Oh, he explains. Okay. Anyway, sorry, let's go back a bit.
Obviously, this wasn't a feature that I knew about at the time, and I actually had to do quite a bit of research today to work that out. So I hope that could kind of clear that up a little bit, and that maybe you can see how I wouldn't have seen it. I actually do think that the age difference between me and Katie was a pretty big factor. I am older than her, and based on what she said, I do have more experience than her. She never went into the exact specifics either, so out of respect for Katie, I've chosen not to give any more details than she did, to make sure that I'm not airing out any information that she's not comfortable with being known. But I have clarified that the furthest things went was under the shirt touching. She did say that the level of intimacy that we had together was the furthest that she'd experienced, but to me, it was quite tame. And when I say this, yes, I am not trying to devalue how she feels.
Oh my God, I'm so glad he's saying this. Yes. Good lad. Good lad. Yes. Tame. It was tame. Correct. It was completely fucking tame. Yes. And certainly not to the level we need to get cancelled for it.
About this at all. I'm just trying to point out that we clearly viewed things differently. And this is something that I have learned from now, and I will be taking very seriously moving forward. And I am truly sorry, Katie, for not realizing this and not taking this difference into account. It is clearly something that is extremely...
Oh, God. I can't bear it. I can't bear it. But I do think it's the right play. I do think he has to do it this way, as much as it's a bit cringe.
Important to you, and I'm sorry. Even after everything I've just said, things would be very different if I could just say that I had asked her if she was comfortable and she had said yes. But the fact is, I never did ask this. As I mentioned, there were a lot of things that she said she thought that I wasn't aware of, that if I had known would have changed a lot. And going forward, this will be something that I take into account in every interaction I have with anyone, sexual or not. I am sorry, Katie, and I'm sorry for how this will affect you going forward. And I'm sorry that everything got to this point, but I just hope that after hearing my perspective, you can understand that I never had any bad intentions and never meant to hurt you. I think that is essentially all the information that I can add to the situation. After her first statement, I actually disagreed a lot with how things were portrayed and was pretty confused by a lot of the details. But her most recent response made things a lot clearer to me, and now I do think we agree pretty much on the order of events. We just don't necessarily agree on my intentions, but again, I do really hope that her seeing this can help with that. There are actually a couple of other things that I wanted to mention before I end this video.
Dude, like, it's great content and it's fun to talk about and it's fun to get into the memes of this, but like, it's just so it's so patently obvious that this is just an absurdity. And that's why people that aren't soy retarded Minecraft community people are all looking at this and going, this is fucking dumb. You know? Like, I saw this take on Twitter from some retard and they were like, well, the vast majority think this way about it. And it's like, no, they don't. They don't at all. Your little gang of retarded freaks that all hang around and watch the Brighton bastards might think like this. But people on Dream's side are going to be on this person's side. And beyond that, anyone that isn't a complete and utter retard is going to look at this and go, yeah, this guy's getting totally and ridiculously, absurdly, unreasonably treated off the back of, you know, a very minimal act of something. It's just so obviously stupid. But, you know, I know some people don't like the response. I think this is as good as a response as you can do when that's the community you're trying to placate. Okay? He's definitely shown more concession than I think maybe is even necessary for this. But I think he's just playing it safe. He's suspended above a pit of spikes. You know, he's trying to navigate so he doesn't get dropped into them. And I think, yeah, I don't think there's really... If you playing it safe is probably the best play here.
That are not at all as important as anything else I've said before this. But this seems like the right time to address other concerns that people have had. The first thing that I want to talk about is a comment that I made about Punz's girlfriend at the time, Andy. I was in a call with Punz and Andy was in the shower, and it was known that we could hear Andy as we had brought it up previously within the call. She was talking very sexually with Punz, essentially complaining that Punz wasn't leaving the call to go have sex with her in the shower. I don't remember the exact quote that I said, but this is what Andy quotes me saying. If you don't go in the shower and have sex with Andy, I will. I do remember saying something along these lines, essentially saying, come on, Punz, go have sex with your girlfriend who's begging you to go have sex with her in the shower, or someone else will. But I do understand how this could be disrespectful, and that was not my intention at all. Knowing how she felt after the fact, I do feel bad, and I am sorry to both Punz and Andy for this comment. My friends, including Punz, we often say ridiculous things, and that's just our type of banter. If anyone ever said something to me about me making them uncomfortable, I would obviously do my best to try avoid making them uncomfortable. But Andy wasn't really one of my friends, so it makes more sense that she doesn't really know that's the type of way that...
Okay, guys. I think we need to have a new process when we do some of these things, okay? Because I think that you guys need to put yourself in the perspective of the people that this is actually for. Because for me, for you, for most of the commentary people, you know, this is like, yeah, obviously this is all fine, no problem. I didn't really have a problem in the first place. This is aimed at people who have got a problem. You're not going to win everyone over, but you've got to put out a response in a way that doesn't alienate those people and make you sound like a raper more so.
But how do I make money?
You need to put yourself in that position.
$5 from
okay?
D3way in 3. I made a joke to my friend and for the
got it back to grade 7. Thank you for the $5. Yeah, I think the tweet I was quite critical of because it seemed very spineless. But I think I understand a bit better now having watched this, in that it was a kind of like immediate move to try and mitigate what I guess they perceived as people still shitting on them, and then coming out with a more rounded response that really lays it out more clearly, but doing it in a way that it doesn't sound like you're attacking her. It's like, look, here's what these messages say. We're a bit confused about this, a bit confused about that, etc., etc. So at the end of the day, it's gonna meet the mark for those people, and I think this will probably successfully save himself. Yeah. I'm frustrated too. I'm wincing at some of the fucking concessions that he's making, but I just do not think there's any other way that he, in this space, can go about this. It has to be like this. Well, he could probably be a bit more ballsy, but every time you make a ballsy move, you're making that risk, aren't you? You know, you're making that risk of if you wriggle about too much, you're going to drop into the spike pit. So he's just being super cautious.
That I joke around, and I hope that she understands that I didn't mean any harm by it. Finally, something that I've wanted to talk about for quite a long time, but have never done, is the Technoblade charity stream situation. People were upset that I was playing soundboards during the beginning of the stream. For context, this event wasn't intended to be serious or sad. It was a for fun event and to celebrate the memory of Technoblade. A narrative that was massively spread was that I played this soundboard during Technodad's speech. But that actually was not the case, and I had played it during a time where all the creators were in a call just talking to each other before the speech had even started. I actually called Technodad a few days after the event because I wanted to make sure that he wasn't upset or uncomfortable with anything that I had said. And we discussed it all. He told me that he didn't have a problem with what I did and that the public reaction was actually pretty crazy to him.
Good. Hey, you mentioned you could send me some links. I'm still blown away that there's something that got 12 million views. Okay.
And then he invited me to the next year's event.
I don't really care
Another
about
thing
this.
that people criticize me for is that I didn't donate to the charity.
Okay,
but
that's
again,
wonderful.
this actually
But how do I
isn't the
make
case.
money
I
off
donated
depressed
$2,000 to the
$5
charity
from
after the
V
event,
$35.
but I did do it
Because he
anonymously,
dominated
so
via
obviously
favourite
I'm
stream
not
of
surprised
Verily.
at all that people don't know this. I donated anonymously because I just didn't really want to make it about me and just donated because I wanted to. Obviously,
Dude, that is so cringe. Yeah, of course. I mean, this is actually based to do it anonymously. You know, he's clearly not thinking of himself. He's trying to do it in the right way, and you still get attacked for that.
there was no actual requirement for the creators in the event to donate to the charity at all, and them just streaming to their audience and incentivizing the viewers to donate was enough. Now, I did this specifically by showing the donations live as they came through on my stream, and because of me doing this, over 2% of the donations actually contain my name within the donation message. So I think it's pretty unfair to come at me for not donating to the charity when I was clearly making a big effort to get my viewers to donate. And beside that, I did donate $2,000. I just wanted to mention this. I know it's kind of way off topic compared to the other two things that I've mentioned in this video, but it is something that has been constantly brought up since it happened as a way of showing that I'm a bad person. So I wanted to clear that up. And that's pretty much everything I have to say. So I hope you can understand. And yeah.
Well done. Well done to that man. What are the comments like? Hair character lying on the side, raising his arms while saying, "How's it going?" Thank you for the $4.99. Mission man in private. Yeah. How funny. Yo, this person's calling out the inconsistency of the Brighton bastards. How funny that the British group freaked out when George put his hand on Katie's waist, but then none of them said anything about their friend Snickrep, who sexually abused Bo. Do these guys only support the victims that benefit them? Let's go! Fell back in log. That was about Willie Mac. Got paid paying you for giving me content as I start my workday. Thank you for the $5. This whole situation sounds like miscommunication and regret, not SA. Yep, true. True! George officially beat the Tickle Monster allegations. I think it's a good response, guys. I think it's a good response. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I know that some people have been disappointed he's not gone harder. I get that feeling. I feel that way too when he's kind of apologising too much. But for the community he's trying to appeal to, someone said, oh, but they're convinced anyway. Yeah, some people are convinced. That's true. And there's already people on Twitter that are, you know, pushing one side of this in terms of saying he's still guilty and whatever. But there's going to be a portion of people who aren't fully convinced that are going to be convinced by this. And I think that's good. And yeah, I think that's probably going to be it for the Minecraft rape apocalypse. I'm imagining. I mean, unless another allegation comes out, I think that's it. What else is there to say? Yeah, in terms of that message, there's multiple things it could be. You know, I don't think it's a fabricated message. I think, you know, it's just not clear exactly where it came from and how it happened. Katie's claiming, oh, sorry, you're saying Katie is claiming she misattributed it, made a mistake. That's probably dishonest. Could be that that's sent by a third party. Could be that she did it herself. It's just lying. But yeah. I think, you know, it's difficult to discern, like, where's the line? Because to me, I'm convinced it's two things. It's, you know, she has got something going on where she wants to come forward, be it clout, be it some malice, be it something. But then also her friends have yassified her. Yasslighted her. Like, where's the line? How much of it is her? How much of it is the yassification? How much of it is the Brighton bastards? That's the thing. But yeah, there we go, guys. That's it. Innocent. We find George not found innocent of rape. The end. Oh. But yeah, people were saying it's boring. I don't know. I found it quite interesting to cover this from the start.